क्या वकील कौन सा मोबाइल You only tell us we only get the ODI. Good evening, everyone. Our speaker has joined here. Let's wait a couple of minutes for 7 o'clock. We'll start at 7. Challa sir, let's start.
Um, Hi guys, and good evening to all of you. This is a very great time for all of us to look at what 5G is all about. Today's webinar is all about 5G, an introduction to 5G, uh, and we are going to take baby steps today into the whole big wide world of 5G. We will go through this webinar where I'll explain to you what 5G is and basic. We'll start with the basics, right? The basics is why do you need 5G? What are the challenges? First and foremost, we need to understand that if a new technology is coming into is being provided to us, why do we need it? As technologists, every one of us is a technologist, or you can say with our background of engineers and all that, we always think about why do we need a solution when everything is going great? And this webinar hopefully will give you the perspective of why do we need 5G to begin with. So with that, still somebody is saying I'm not audible. Is it true? Is everybody able to hear me?
Those who are finding mistake, errors can rejoin. I think so. It will be the network issues.
But most of you are able to hear me, right?
Yes,
Okay, so with that, let me introduce myself. My name is Chala Adishesh, and I'm with my colleague Nishant, and both of us will take you through this 5G journey. A little bit background about myself. I have about 22 years of experience in networking. I started my career as a network engineer. So if you all of you know the OSI stack, that is the Open Systems Interconnect stack. So I have worked in that stack from the layer zero, that's a physical layer, all the way up to the application layer. So I have worked on each one of those components throughout in my career of 22 years. What I'm excited about is that somewhere in the past I was working on with the Verizon, and in Verizon, I worked with LTE, 4G LTE. That was my first introduction to the 4G realm. And from the network background perspective, I can tell you that that was one of the wonderful experiences, which told me networking is one component, but then the most important component that users interact with day in and day out is mobility. And I'm very excited to go forward into 5G and how 5G will enhance our lives. Um, Again, I am with Wipro right now. Before joining Wipro, I was for a while, for a long time, about 16 years, I was in the US, and I was supporting all kinds of US customers. And then I moved to India, and I moved to Wipro as a practice head for practice head. I was in a different role before, and now I'm a practice head for 5G. So with that, let us look at what are our current challenges. So I see that many of you are saying it's not audible. I hope that you try to rejoin, or if you have a problem, change options. That's correct, Sankalp. You can change options to go through your mobile also. Sometimes, mobile uh, audio is more better than connecting through your laptop. So with that, let me just get into the first slide of our presentation. What are the current challenges? Why do I even care about 5G? 4G is great right now. So why do I bother about 5G? So let's go into that. So just take a minute to digest this slide. What I'm showing you here is that in 2020, that's today, in during the coronavirus lockdown, I have about 10.7 billion mobile subscribers. That is going to increase about 50 to 55% by 2030. Guess what? Now very interesting, just corollary to what I was talking about is something interesting is that Modi ji is saying that I want to bring in these mobile industries into India, and mobile phones will be available, manufactured, made in India. which means that I'm going to have a tremendous growth in this mobile industry or mobility from 10.7 to 17.1. You know what that means? 17.1 mobile subscribers means lots and lots of traffic. My traffic volume is going to increase tremendously. One big challenge, how do I handle that additional traffic volume? So let's look at the other challenges, and later on Nishant will tell you how we are going to address this challenge. So the next interesting thing is this traffic utilization. So what do you mean? But what am I talking about? You know, in when you look at let's go back in time when I had this huge big mobiles which were like building blocks, right? Traffic was great at that point. Everything was fantastic because we didn't have this requirement and we didn't have this Reliance Geo at that time. Now you see when Reliance Geo has brought in all this Geo features and you can see movies, and plus if you go to uh, there is a lot of disturbance. Can you please mute yourself, whoever is that? Thank you. Now, if you look at Geo, you see in every village, there was a story which goes that a village does not have electricity, but it has mobile phones. That is the type, or that is the invasion that the mobile phones have done into Indian economy and into the world economy per se. And we're not even talking about Africa. I mean, huge continent, lot of potential. And what we are saying here is that by from 2020 to 2030, your traffic per month requirement, the gigabit requirement is phenomenal expansion from 5 gig to 257 gig. That's that much information is going to be required or transmitted. And where is this bandwidth going to come from? So and that is a big that is a big question that we are here to unveil to you or to reveal to you. Okay. So one very important announcement is that any questions you have, we will take it up to the end at the end of this presentation. Next point is you have all heard about uh, IoT. Now, IoT, Internet of Thing devices, huge potential. I'll just take an example. You have a this. Let's talk about a grocery store, or let's talk about a refinery, right? Refinery has so many points where it is being manually looked at. The measurements are taken manually. Now, if you are going to replace that with IoT devices, huge number of IoT devices, a lot of traffic. Who is going to support the traffic? That's where the mystery is. Who is going to support it? Right? So that is something which is coming up. And then the next one is our very important human-centric communication. All of you have gone through this multiple times. What is happening is you are in a phone call and suddenly the call drops. You are watching Reliance Geo cinema on your cell phone and suddenly you start seeing buffering. Somewhere you have got this experience. You are traveling by car or you're traveling by train or something, and then you suddenly find that you have lost your connection, or it's just like that fantastic you know circle, a rounding a circle which is itself rounding. You've seen that all the time. What that means is that you are now getting used to having very low latency. And and as we go forward, where we are talking about e-health and entertainment and for safety, this low latency becomes very critical. That's human communication, right? But what about this machine communication? You have heard about this, like driverless car. That is coming. That is our future, and that is coming. If all our cars, most of our cars becomes driverless, you have to have very good communication systems. Otherwise, all of them will fail and they'll just be stuck. All of will be stuck and there will be no response. Now, next, another very important thing, if you have heard about this, that in there is something called Amazon. Amazon is
അതിന്
planning.
ഇപ്പൊ എന്താ പഞ്ചായത്തിൽ പോയപ്പോ
Can you
അങ്ങനെയാണ്
mute
പറഞ്ഞത്.
yourself, please? Hello? Can you? Okay, good. Amazon is saying, I am going to be using drones to start delivering, delivering parcels and all that. So if that is going to happen, you will have to have communication. Otherwise, drones will. What happens if the drone goes to a wrong address? Big problem. So that is all. All these are your uh, current situation, because of which 5G is a requirement. Now we will come to the next one, is your high user density. This is a very popular thing. You go and look at. I am located in Bangalore, right? Huge city, and what is happening is that you have a high user density, and if you go in some places, your call receiver, your calls get dropped, or you get very very low throughput or low bandwidth. You're not able to, your cell phone is used as well as you can just throw your cell phone and it's no use at all. That is because of high user density. How am I going to cater to that high user density? And that high user density is not reducing, it's going to go upwards. It's not coming down anytime soon. On the contrary, this high user density is going to go towards your in the villages also, it's going to increase, right? So that is one challenge. The next one is about mobility. You have trains. You don't forget about high speed trains. In a regular train, you don't get connection. Half the time your mobile phone is of no use because you don't have a coverage. Where you have coverage, everybody are using the mobile phones, and the bandwidth is now becoming very very small, and slow, and it's slowing down your viewing or your productivity. Next one is about ultra positioning application. This is very very important. You are positioning precise global based navigation. How you all have experiences, right? You use your Google Maps, right? You say, okay, I want to go from point A to point B. Now what is happening is, you might have experienced this, that when you are on a bridge, it will show you not your bridge location but something which is underneath the bridge. You know why? Because it doesn't have the capability to know, to distinguish between your location. Why? Because it's not accurate enough. I need more accuracy. Example, another example. Today you have all seen this. Ambulance is coming. All of us try to give way to the ambulance so that it can reach the destination, which is the hospital, right? If I had a better communication system, automatically a green corridor would have been prepared well in advance, and that green corridor would have let all the traffic lights, your traffic would all have been alerted, and they would have moved aside. But that's not happening today. Everybody is waving hand and saying, move, move, move. Hello? So are you able to hear now? There is a lot of echo. Are you able to hear now, guys? Okay, good. So the last part of current challenge is your, as I talked to you about before, Internet of Things. These are all nothing but small sensors which will provide a boost to the industry where it is going to be deployed. But again, bandwidth is the choking point. So now I'm just going a little bit, give you an idea where we are, what when we talk about network capacity. Today, very easily we can say, okay, I know I have heard about terabytes. I know I have heard about petabytes. But what we are talking about when we talk about 5G is we are talking about a realm where it is zettabyte, which is, as you say, 10 to the 21, huge numbers. But that is where we are going to. That is the communication that has to be, uh, the communication infrastructure has to support that type of traffic. Today we are not there, and that is where your 5G is going to come into play. One thing about a quick comparison, want to take you a little bit on the comparison between 3G, 4G, and 5G. Very self-explanatory slide. I want you to look at what I'm talking when I say latency. We will tell you in the future slides, we will tell you why we are saying you will get a latency of less than 10 milliseconds. Why is it that you will get an average speed? What is there in 5G that will make my average speed go to 200 to 400 megabits per second? And bandwidth, and understand these numbers are not coming from us. Numbers are coming from the standards. My colleague Nishant is going to talk about those standards in the next coming slides. He's going to tell you a very important group called 3GPP. Remember the terminology 3GPP. One of the biggest, the authoritative, uh, uh, authoritative, what do you call it, as the standards body which looks into this 5G. I'll give you a comparison. IEEE, IEEE is the gold standard. When you talk about standards, you have IEEE standards are the universal standards. You have IEEE wireless standards, you have IEEE switching standards. They are the gold standards. Similarly, in 5G, you have something called 3GPP standards. So with that, I am going to pass the token to my colleague Nishant. Nishant Tiwari, please come in and please share your slide, and then you can go forward with the requirements and the salient features and some of the key terminologies of 5G. Go ahead, Nishant.
Thank
I
you,
will
Chila.
transfer the I will transfer the assignee to you so that you can take. I think you should be able to take the control from me.
Thank you, Chila.
Yeah, go ahead, Nishant.
Yeah, yeah, Chila. I'm just going to Brazil. Hello, everyone.
Chancellor, you are the presenter right now. Yeah.
Everyone.
Yes, yes, it's visible, sir.
Full screen, full screen.
Thank you, Chila. Everyone. I'm Nishant Tiwari. I've worked with all the major operator and major vendor across the globe.
Please increase your volume. Please increase your volume. Not audible.
Now I'm audible.
Nishant, put your microphone right next to your next to your mouth so that everybody can hear clearly.
Yeah, Chila. Now I'm audible.
Better.
Okay,
Nishant is
thank
little
you.
bit better, but can you try more?
Okay, I will try more. So, hello everyone. Now it's improved.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Hello everyone. I'm Nishant Tiwari. I'm working in a Wipro as a 5G architect. I have a total 13 year of experience in wireless communication starting from 2G, 3G, 4G, and currently I'm executing 5G. I have worked with all the major operator and vendor across the globe. So I'm going to start from here requirement of 5G. So Sheila clearly told why we have required 5G, all the challenges of the 5G. So how we are going to fulfill the challenges of the 5G? Because 4G is not going to fulfill the requirement of
All of you, please mute your audio.
devices. All this
Please mute. Please mute.
Hello.
Please mute. Please.
Sir, please kick out them.
Please mute yourself, guys. Please mute yourself.
Mute your
Please don't
voice, please.
interrupt the webinar because many people are over here hearing you. Please don't interrupt.
I think the host can mute it. If you're the host, you can mute it. Mute the one that is talking.
I'm doing it, but still some people are unmuting themselves. I request that madam please mute your audio.
I think host can mute.
yeah, Musharraf can
Sir, please remove or mute them.
Doing that, but still some guys are
Can you
unmuting
remove,
themselves.
ma'am?
I'm helpless over this. Yes, sir. Nishan, sir, let's continue.
okay. So we have a Sheila already told we have a challenges. So how we are going to remove that challenges? So we have the requirement for the 5G. So this is the challenges. How we are going to get more throughput and how we are going to get high mobility and how we are going to get ultra accurate positioning application. How we are going to serve the Internet of Things. So we have a high level of network architecture in a 5G. In a 4G, we have a only E node B, but in a 5G, we have a distributed 5G. We have a centralized unit of the 5G. We have a ORAN concept. We have a virtualized RAN, and in core part, we have a next generation core. And next generation core, we have a service-based architecture. So high level network, how we are going to fulfill ultra reliable, low latency type of communication serving the IoT devices. So we have make our network like that so that it can meet all the requirement of the 5G in QoS. In a 4G LTE user EPS variant is assigned to each user. But in 5G, we have a QoS flow. With the QoS flow ID, we have a slicing concept, network slicing selection assistant information. With this, we can serve the user from end to end. Suppose how we are going to solve the ultra reliable low latency type of communication in a 5G. Suppose any user require a very low latency and also reliability. So we have a slicing function. Due to the slicing, it will maintain the QoS end to end for the 5G. Emerging network technology. In a 5G, we have a NOMA, non-orthogonal system for the 5G. We have the numerology. We have the subcarrier spacing. So from the 4G to 5G, how we are going to fulfill the requirement of the all the challenges, we have changed our network 4G network completely to fulfill the requirement of the 5G. Mobile front hole and back hole. In a 4G, we have a front hole and a back hole. From the front hole and back hole, we have the baseband unit and then we have a radio head unit. From that we have a ECPRI cable, and we want the throughput from 10 Gbps to fulfill the requirement of the 5G. Network softwareization. In a network softwareization, we are going to on app application, then mobile, edge computing, all the things virtualization, all the things we have introduced in a 5G. So this is how we are improved from 4G to 5G. In a 4G, if we are getting the throughput of a Mbps, so in a 5G, we are going to get the throughput user experience throughput of a 100 Mbps, and then if we are getting the peak data rate of 1 Gbps in a LT, so in a 5G we are going to get a 20 Gbps of a peak throughput. And spectral efficiency. In a 5G, the spectral efficiency has increased 3 times. Mobility in part of mobility in a LT, if we are getting the mobility of a 350 kilometer per hour, here we have improved 500 kilometer per hour. In LT, we are getting the latency. What is latency? Then delay, latency, and the round trip time, all are the same thing. We are getting in a LT latency of a we are getting latency in a LT that is around more than 40 millisecond. But in a 5G, we are getting the latency for this ultra reliable low latency type of communication. It is 1 millisecond. And then connection density. In a connection density from 4G to 5G, we want the connection density in a 1 kilometer of area, that is 1 million user we can serve in a 5G. Network energy efficiency. In a, if we compare the same thing from the IMT advanced, IMT advanced is the just standard for the G.
So Nishant sir, can you speak a bit louder? Some people are
Okay.
saying that it's not a bit louder, sir.
Yeah. So if we are getting in IMT advanced, if we are getting area traffic capacity, we have improved 100 megabits per second per meter square for the 5G, and network efficiency, which is 100 times network efficiency as compared to the LT. IMT advanced is for the 4G, and IMT to 2020, it is the standard set by the 3GPP for the 5G. So here we have a connection density, latency, mobility, spectrum efficiency, user experience, peak data rate, area traffic capacity, all the things we are going to work. And because all the things we need to improve, what we are getting in a 4G, that is not going to fulfill our challenges, our requirement like high throughput, and then we have a low latency, then high mobility, then area traffic, IoT devices, all these things, all these use cases we can't solve by the LT. That's why we have the requirement of the 5G. So in a 5G, how we are going to improve peak data rate, how we are going to improve user experience data rate, how we are going to improve latency, mobility, connection density, energy efficiency, spectrum efficiency, and area traffic capacity. So in each area we have worked, and each area having, in some cases we have make some changes, but in some cases we have changed total concept of what we have done in a 4G. So here 5G key features, wide range of frequency band. In a, if we will see the frequency band of the 4G, we have a 900 megahertz, 1800, 2100 megahertz. But if we are seeing in a 5G, we have a millimeter wave, and then we have a sub 6 gigahertz of the band. So from 5G we have a 450 megahertz to the 6 up to 7.2 megahertz. 7.2 gigahertz, and then 24 gigahertz to 52 gigahertz. That is the millimeter wave. But in LT we have a very limited frequency band. But in 5G we have a wider range of a frequency band. Scalable numerology. If we will compare with the LT, we have a only sub-carrier spacing of a 15 kilohertz. But in 5G, we have a 15 kilohertz, 30 kilohertz, 60, then 120 kilohertz. So numerology, due to this, we are going to improve our latency part due to the numerology things come in picture to minimize. Then we have a mini slot, and then we have a short PCCS. So many things we have to consider so that we can improve our latency from 40 millisecond to the 1 millisecond. And we have also worked on other things also, like mobile as computing, and then split concept. We have a split concept. We can split our different layers in a 5G. If we will compare to the LT, in LT we have a E node B, but it's not be distributed. But in a 5G we have a G node B, and G node B is a distributed. We have a central unit of the G node B, and after that we have a distributed unit of the G node B. And after that we have the split concept. We can split the layer from the PDCP layer, or we can split to the RLC layer, or higher T-scale layer or lower T-scale layer. Because of this we can improve our latency. And other things we have introduced in a LTE. We will see we have only two state, ideal and active state, but in a 5G we have a three state, ideal, inactive and active state. So lots of things we have changed from 4G to 5G so that we can get the latency from 40 millisecond to 1 millisecond. So this is the one scalable numerology. Then we have a millimeter wave in a 5G. Millimeter wave is not in a 4G, but in a 5G we have a millimeter wave. So here we have considered the millimeter wave from 24 gigahertz to 52 gigahertz, what as per the 3GPP. We have the then enhancement of for massive MIMO. We have a 60 cross 16 massive MIMO in a 5G, and we have a rollout up to 8 cross 8 MIMO for the 5G. Bandwidth part, in a 4G there is no concept of the bandwidth part, but here in a 5G we have a concept of the bandwidth part. Maximum bandwidth we can get in a LT, that is only 20 megahertz, but in a 5G for FR1 band, FR1 is from 450 megahertz to 7.2 gigahertz. So from that band we can get the bandwidth of 100 megahertz, and 100 megahertz we can divide up to 4 parts for the different use cases. So further, when you will go in detail, everything just a topic, one big course. If you go for the enhancement for the massive MIMO or millimeter wave, wide range of frequency band, scalable numerology, all are a big course. After that, 3D beam forming. So yes, we have introduced 3D beam forming in a 5G, functional split alternatives, active antenna system. We have a in a 5G.
Please, I'm not hearing.
Then we have a NOMA concept. In a 4G, we have a OFDMA, but in a 5G, we have changed our multiple access, non-orthogonal multiple access. We have a NOMA, and in a 4G, we have a OFDMA. So with the NOMA concept, we can serve more user. NOMA is just another concept. It's a big topic. So I'm just giving the glimpse of the NOMA. And then service based core. In a 4G, our core part is a reference type of architecture, and we are using IPsec, not other things. But in a 5G, we have changed our whole core part. Core part is a service based architecture. In a service based architecture, we can access the things through the APIs. External third party can access, take the data from 5G core. So 5G core also having two part. One is a control part, other is a user plane. In a control plane, we have make all the control plane as a service based architecture, but user plane it's not a service based architecture. So in core also we have changed, but in LT there is a no concept of a service based architecture. In a 5G we are supporting SDN, software defined network, network function virtualization, SON, ONAP, and mobile edge computing. So this is the key features of the 5G.
Cannot hearing. Hello.
Nitita Sriram is requesting to add content.
Nishant, don't give that annotation.
I have just read.
Yes.
So yes, so now all these different use cases we have make, because for every use cases we can't make a slice. So we have just study all the use cases. Myself means this different bodies, three GPP bodies, and they have combined all the use cases in three things: enhanced mobile broadband, massive IoT, and low latency. In enhanced mobile broadband, if any user want a high throughput and he have want a not very low latency but near about 10 millisecond of the latency, so all that use cases come under enhanced mobile broadband. Watching video and work and play in a cloud, augmented reality. So all these cases we have given a enhanced mobile broadband. Here we don't require a very high, ultra high reliability and low latency. And then all the other cases where we require a low latency and high reliability, like self-driving car, mission critical type of use cases, like e-health, industrial and vehicle automation. These types of cases where we require a very high ultra reliability and low latency. All these cases we have divided in a LRRC, ultra reliable low latency type of communication. And other type of communication use cases, massive IoT, where we don't require a very high throughput but we require a reliability. So that cases we have given a massive connectivity, massive IoT type of communication. So we have divided all the use case in mainly in three different areas to serve the purpose of the all the use cases of the 4G, which 4G is not solved with. That's why we have enabled all that use cases in a 5G.
And Nishant, we lost you. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. So if you see here, enhance mobile broadband, I'm audible.
Yeah,
Yes,
go
you
ahead.
are audible. Yes.
So if we are saying here enhance mobile broadband, so peak throughput what we are going to get in a, that is from 10 to 20 Gbps peak data rate. Peak data rate is in any cell only one user is there, and we have enabled the 5G that going to serve by the NR, that means 5G radio, then that user can get 10 to 20 Gbps. That's also depend how much bandwidth, all the things. Then second use case is ultra reliability and low latency type of communication. So user will get less than 1 millisecond of a air interface latency. So end-to-end latency from the core part he will use 4 millisecond, but in a wireless or in a radio he should will get 1 millisecond of that. And then third use case is IoT type of communication. In IoT type of communication, we can say a machine type of communication or IoT type of communication. So here we are going to solve 10 to the power 6 user or IoT devices per square. And also the battery life of that IoT devices is from more than 10 year of a battery life. Let me the slide.
Hello, sir. Cannot hear.
Now I'm audible.
So you are audible.
Not audible. Not audible.
Nishant sir?
Yeah. Actually, I'm moving
Yeah.
the slide, but it's not.
Sir, your voice is not audible.
Yeah. Now
Isn't
my
saying
voice is audible, right?
yes, you are audible.
Can you speak loudly?
Yeah. So if
Sir,
you see
say
here,
loudly, please.
yeah. So if you see here there is a different use cases for the 5G. We have a requirement where we want a gigabit of wireless, very high rate application layer in a order of a few Gbps, and then super real time and reliable application where we have a V2X type of communication where we want a V2X car to car driveless car, and then we have a crowd area where we want a millimeter wave, because with the millimeter wave we have a very high bandwidth, and that high bandwidth we can use to serve the very high number of connected user, and we can give the good experience to all the user. And then we have a machine type of communication where machine is going to communicate with a machine. So in that type of communication we don't require very high throughput, but we require a reliability. So all these cases 5G is going to solve. And tactical internet, in this we want a very low time for the response. In that case we want very high availability, reliability, as well as we want very low latency. And after that, this is the other scenario for the 5G, similar what we have discussed earlier. So if you see here we have a different application, and based on the application what their requirement, what their KPIs. Suppose we have a autonomous vehicle control. In that case we want the latency of a 5 millisecond, ability of a 99.99 percent, reliability of 99.99. So all this cases how we are going to solve this reliability problem in a 5G. So we will use the blind repetition, micro diversity, then we can make this PDCP layers with data duplication at the PDCP layer, then slot aggregation, and then we can use the mini slot for the low latency. So this is the different technology what we are going to use to meet the requirement for the 5G, which we have not able to solve in a 4G. Emergency communication also we have the ability of 99.9, and then energy efficiency. So factories sell automation. So this is the different requirement for the high speed train. For the high speed train, what we have required? We have required traffic volume density, and then mobility, and then latency. So, and then larger outdoor events. So in outdoor events, what we have required? Experience user throughput, and then connection density, reliability. Then after that, this massive amount of geography spread devices. Here we need to serve the 1 million of the devices. So the 4G is not going to solve this able to connect the 1 million devices, but 5G can connect 1 million devices. So this is the beauty of the 5G. Other things also support remote surgery and examination. So for this remote surgery and examination, we require a very low latency, that is less than 1 millisecond. If someone is doing any operation, if there is a remotely, if someone is doing any operation, this is working with a human, and if there is a delay in a latency, it may be harm to the human. Then also in that case, reliability is also required. You are, if you are sending the packet, and if packet is not reached at a given time, then it's also become the problem. So we have just studied all the use cases. Based on the used cases, we have given the KPIs for this use cases, this KPI, for this use cases, this KPI, and all this KPI we are making we are going to subscribe. Based on the your subscription, we will give the slice, and based on the slice, you will get that subscription. Suppose if you have subscribed yourself for this remote surgery and examination, in that case you will get this latency of 1 millisecond and reliability of 99.99. So for that you have to pay. Other shopping mall, smart city, stadium. So for the different use cases, we have a different requirement. Virtual and augmented reality. So for the virtual and augmented reality, experience user throughput. So for that we need the throughput of 4 to 28 Gbps and latency which is near about 10 millisecond round trip time. So this is the, I have just discussed different 5G application and their requirement, and then 5G standardization. So we have launched our 3G in 2000, but we have start working from 1985. Similarly, for this LT, we have start working LT in 2003. We have set a goal in 2003, but we have deployed the LT in 2015. And similarly, for the 5G, we have a we done lots of study about the use cases, what is the traffic scenario in 2015, and from 2013 to 2015, and based on that we have set our vision to deploy 5G in start from the 2020. So just 5G deployment is just started. So in 2019 testing has done, but after I think this 5G network is going to be full-fledged up after 2025. Right now we are in non-standalone mode. So when this full-fledged 5G will come, that is standalone. Here 5G standardization, we have a in word we have a different 5G standardization body. That is, one is a ITU, and then IMT 2020. IMT 2020, this is the set a goal. 3GPP has set a goal for the 5G. IMT 2020. That means we have start deploying the 5G from starting from the 2020. So in 2019 we have done the testing, and we have also start launching 5G sites in US, Japan, Korea, China, and so many European countries. But it's not a full-fledged launch of the 5G. Only few pocket we have deployed the 5G, and it will take time because right now we have NSA non-standalone 5G. Non-standalone means we have LT is also working with the 5G, and here LT is as a anchor, and we are getting the throughput from this 5G. So it's again a one full concept NSA and SA mode for the 5G. Then 3GPP. So 3GP is third generation partnership project that is start from the 3G. Then it's also set the standard for the 4G, and it's again set the standard for the 5G. This 5G PPP, it's only work on the innovation part of the 5G research program of the 5G, and it is collaboration with this all these things IMT 2023 GPP, then ETSC, GSMA. It's collaborated with all, and it's European body, and it's start working on the research or innovation for 5G. ETSC, it is the European Telecommunication Standard Institute. It's also working on a 5G, but mainly it's work on a virtualization part or software part or IT part. We can say how we can collaborate network virtualization function, then mobile edge computing, then other next generation protocols, other IT related things in a 5G, and how we can this telecom and 5G can collaborate and make all the use cases. We can solve the problems of the all the use cases. GSMA, this is the also a global body, and its works mainly represents the operator of the worldwide. GSMA is mainly work for the operator of the worldwide. After this, now we have a wireless. So I'm just going about how wireless communication overview. So from 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. So from 1G we are getting very low data rate, and then in 2G we are getting 10 kbps. Then we are in 3G we are getting 10 mbps, and in 4G we are getting 100, and for the 5 we are getting 10 gbps of the speed. So this is the, and 1G is just a analog type of communication, but starting from the 2G is the started from the digital wise. Oh,
Hello.
yeah, yeah. I'm moving the slide.
Hello, hello, hello,
Hello.
hello.
Hello. It's very slow. Just give me
Hello.
1 minute.
What's happening?
Please wait. He's moving the slides. Nishant sir.
Yeah, now it's done. So after that, you can see here wireless communication with the high data rate, high mobility. Then from the 3G and 4G, how transmission rate has increased and with the mobility also. And it's also about showing the same thing, how wireless peak data rate transmission has improved from 1G to 4G. It is the different GSM, then GPRS, then CDMA 2000 as WCDMA, and here time requirement required for a new technology. So we have started our 5G journey. We have set a goal in 2015. At that time, we have all the use cases, and then we have started journey for the 5G. We have set the requirement to get to give the solution of all these requirement, this all the requirement, all the use cases, how we are going to solve all these use cases like low latency and then
Hi.
high reliability, number of IoT devices. Then we have set the requirement. In that requirement, we need a high bandwidth and then scalable numerology, NUMA, and then we have mobile edge computing, network virtualization, splitting of the network. So we have set the requirement. With this requirement, we are going to solve the problem. And after that, with this all this requirement, we have standardized all these things. How we cope up all these things to LT network. If that thing is not going to cope up, then we make a new things for the 5G. If something is we can put in a LT, for that we have only given the enhancement of that thing. But something which we can't do anything, for that we have make a new technology like NOMA. For the NOMA we have designed all the things, all the FFT we need to again reveal for the to cope up the NOMA technology. And also for this millimeter wave, because all the U is not going to support millimeter wave. So for that we have manufactured a new UE for to support millimeter wave. And after this standardization enhancement, we have tested our use cases, and then we are start deploying our 5G network. And to mature the network of the 5G, it will take I think after 2025 we can get full-fledged 5G network. So now time for question.
How can we use SDN?
Please use chat window to ask the questions. Please don't unmute. Please use chat window to ask the
NFV?
questions.
How can we use NFV and SDN in 5G?
I'll answer that
Anyone?
question. One second. SDN, see, SDN and NFV. I had asked, as I had told you in the chat window, two different requirements, two different applications. SDN, software defined, it is going to look at your traffic, and then as I said that it'll have it bifurcates the traffic which goes to a control plane and bifurcates the traffic that goes to a data plane, right? But NFV, network function virtualization, is going to be one of the key components in which your 5G will work. The reason is NFV has an orchestration capability, right? The whole premise of NFV is you want to virtualize the network functions such that you can scale up or scale down the network requirement as and when needed. For 5G, an example is for 5G, as Nishant has said, you have your requirement is, say for example, you said about what was it? You said 1 million users, right, Nishant?
Million user.
Okay. You
1
have 1
million
million
regions.
1 million users, right? Now, it is not needed. It is not. It will not be that all the 1 million users will be using the network at the same time. So NFV will be able to do what it will do is when you have a traffic requirement, it will automatically use the orchestration function to be able to update the network to support that additional traffic. Example, stadium. You have a stadium, you have 100,000 people in a stadium
TDM.
watching. Hello?
It work like a TDM when we require any
Stadium?
bandwidth. Time division multiplication like a like
No, no, no,
that.
no, no. Now we are going into two different aspects. We are not talking. It is multiplexing, and we are looking at multiplexing. You're talking about NFV, two different things. When you say NFV, it is orchestration. TDM is multiplexing. We are now going into the physical layer of how multiplexing happens when your signaling is coming into play. So two different aspects. But as I was explaining to you, NFV will be applicable. NFV will, when you have a demand, that is where your NFV will come into play and be able to provide the sufficient bandwidth or the capacity required to support the support that additional burden which is going to be carried on the network. Right now, the capability is there, but it will be enhanced with 5G because of the capacity that 5G is promising to provide.
Hello.
Whether security or
Yes, yes. I have one question.
Yeah.
I have one question, sir. Yeah, what are the radiation level? What are the radiation levels in 5G? You have not mentioned that point.
No, no. So I'm just tell you about the radiation here. So
Yeah. What are
what
the levels? What
people
are the
are,
levels and
yeah,
how it is harmful to mankind?
yeah. So that I'm going to tell you. What is happen in 4G? We are measuring this effective isotropic radiated power (EIRP). So
Okay.
in 4G, we have a broadband measurement, and any site which is not falling with that measurement, we are just reducing the power of that site. And in 4G, we are using this our antenna, which is not a beam forming. But in a 5G, we are using a beam forming. So in a 4G, the antenna which we are using, it is a directional antenna, and directional antenna is distribute the power in a whole area. But in 5G, the beam forming, we are sending the power to the specific user. So related to the radiation, if you compare the radiation with the 4G, in a 5G, you will get the less radiation. But again, it's again you need to check. Suppose if you have in your locality, if you are having the 4G site, 3G site, 2G site, 5G site, and all the site is radiating towards you, then at that time you need to check the measurement, and government authority is doing all these things. So I don't think due to the 5G there is any impact or human impact due to the radiation, because here we are using forming. With the beam forming, we are getting the lesser power. But in 4G, we are using a directional antenna, and directional antenna radiate whole power across whole area.
And one more thing to add is that there is specific limitation on how much EIRP can be transmitted. You cannot just just because I have an antenna, I cannot just send the full power on that antenna. There is a power requirement and restrictions that the government has placed. And what is that number, right? Is it like 2 watts or 4 watts, something like that, right,
Yes, so
Nishant?
it's depend upon because for every bandwidth we have a different limitation. If you are using suppose 900 megahertz, for that different limitation. If you are using 2.3 gigahertz, different limitation. So all that's we have the guidelines if you go and check the 3GPP standard, in the 3GPP standard, all the things is mentioned. Suppose you have this massive MIMO, and in massive MIMO you are going to 8 cross 8 arrays. So for that, how much power you can radiate? It's not like that you can radiate very high power. I think you get my point, right?
Questions can please don't unmute yourself. Please ask in the chat window
Again,
if you have any questions.
third question, whether security or privacy issue can be solved by 5G? Yes. In a 5G, we are going to solve this security problem in a three way. One, at a application layer. Suppose if we are running any application, suppose we are running Facebook, right? So at the application layer, Facebook is firstly going to provide you the security at a application layer, and then vendor. Suppose if we are using Huawei, Ericsson, or we are using Nokia or Cisco or any vendor, so these vendors also have the network security. They are secure our all the data. And then thirdly, operator, who is going to provide the network, like Airtel, or in India Airtel Idea, or Reliance Jio. So all these three different part, they have to secure our data, and they have to provide the security. So in 5G, in three type of security is there, at a one at a application layer, one at a vendor layer, and one at a operator layer in a 5G.
And also to chime in, Nishant, for security, you also have something called as soon as the traffic comes to the base station, it is completely encrypted, right?
Yeah. So up to when we are sending a message in a UE, so up to user plane, no one can, only government authority can take your data with the permission, and no one can take your data. So all these things is encrypted. Up to this G node B, we have a air interface encryption, and then we have a IPsec security. That IPsec security will go up to your data network. After data network, it will go to the internet. If we are just communicating through this voice over IP, in that case, this network will provide the security up to data network. After data network, it is the responsibility of the internet provider. He will responsible to provide the security. So that will go up to the application layer, like Twitter, or we have Facebook, or Google, who is taking our data. At the application layer, they have the responsibility. They will not share your data.
Yeah, and one more thing to add is when we talk about IPsec, IPsec has this IKEA, you call it as IKE version 2, Internet Key Exchange version 2. That is the key exchange protocol that is being used in that IPsec to make your traffic secure.
So now, if any question, I will take from the Musharraf, and
Okay, sir.
if we will.
Okay, sir. We'll let you. We'll send the question connecting via LinkedIn or anything.
Okay,
Sir,
sure.
why we have an extra layer in the 5G?
Yes, we
Shall
have
we
a
conclude, sir?
SDAP layer. Yeah, definitely we have a
Yeah,
SDAP
SD.
layer in a, yeah, in a 5G we have a SDAP layer, one additional layer, because we need to solve this slicing concept, and in QS and reflective QS. So to solve the QS of the 5G, we have a QFI in a 5G. That's why we have additional layer in a 5G.
Okay, let's
Okay,
conclude,
thank
sir. The
Only
further
one
questions will
extra
be.
layer in a 5G, that is the SDAP.
Okay. Thank you,
Sir, we are
Nishant, sir.
use sir, we are going to use the same channels of 4G, or will increase the bandwidth of the channels in 5G.
not getting your question. What is mean by this?
We are going to use the same channels that we use for 4G and 5G, or will increase the bandwidth in channels of 5G?
So what happened? It's suppose in India right now in India we are using LTE at a 900 megahertz, 1800 megahertz, 23 megahertz, and when government is going to auction, so it will auction 3.5 gigahertz. So we will get that, and right now we will go in a dual connectivity. Dual connectivity means you will latch to the network from the both with the LTE also in a NSA mode. NSA means non-standalone. Non-stand means dual connectivity. We will connect our UE through the LTE also and through the 5G and our new radio. So for the LTE, we are going to connect with the 900 megahertz, and for the 5G, we are going to connect from the 3.5 gigahertz. So we will connect with the both the spectrum, and each spectrum having some bandwidth. For the LTE, maybe we have a 10 uh, megahertz, and for the 5G, it maybe we have a 15 megahertz. So overall, we will get a 17 megahertz whole bandwidth.
Thank you, sir. Let's conclude over here. Further questions, guys, you can connect answer Chella sir via LinkedIn. And I thank our sir, Chella sir and Nishan sir to take your valuable time and speak over here. And I also thank all the participants participated over here. Thank you, sir. We had a really great session. And the recordings of this webinar will be mailed to you guys. And sharing a feedback form, please have a 2 minutes and fill it. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.